Hi folks, this is Jimmy up here on the mountain. It's morning on the eastern side of the hill, and I wanted to show you what I think was a big part of why these people were here. It's this stone that comes out of the ground here, and this is part of a bigger vein that goes that way, and this is actually the top of the ridge, and you can see the serpent wall right over there. There's the serpent wall that delineates the horizon. It's a geoform is what it is, and it serves many functions. It's like a calendar to these people. And it also had other functions that I've discussed before, but there's a niche in the wall down there where I found inside the wall artifacts that seemed like they were shaman stones, and I just got the feeling they were for teaching. Looked like an area you could teach in. I know I have nothing to base that on, but the stones I found just felt that way. My dog's barking at someone. It doesn't look like this was all chipped away. It looks pretty natural. Looks like they liked the way it looked, maybe. Didn't want to chip it away, but I think a lot of stone was taken out of here, because you can see it on the ground. You can see all the flakes in the litter. And of course there's a lot of leaf down here. We walk down here, we can start seeing the serpent wall. How it delineates the horizon, the western horizon and the eastern horizon behind me. And this standing stone here is all carved into shape. And I believe they used it just like I'm using it now in some way. There's holes in the wall, tunnels right in there. The serpent head's right up there. You can see a hole right there, which is a pyramid shape. Right there. And if you come down here, this is a three-sided pyramid type stone that was all carved, and it has a point that marks the horizon also. Pretty cool. And down here on the eastern side, we have lots of white stone litter where objects were made with the stone that was quarried here. Objects everywhere. I found quite a bit of stuff in this tree root. You can see the serpent head right there. Right there is the serpent head. And he weaves his way back down to the north into a natural spring and a man-made well. Huge circular well. Fine stonework. And on the eastern side here, as we go by these artifacts, and it's all in this one spot. I guess this is a place to make and create. Make and create. Artifacts just jump out of the place. They can't go very far because it's all ledge, and they made a lot of it here. I think there were lots and lots of people over time. And now you can start seeing the whale rock, the breaching whale, and the mounds. That's one of the mounds right there. It's an earthwork. It connects over to that mound. And there's a ditch. And they face the east. Without the trees there, you'd see the horizon. So the sun would come up every day. Here's a breaching whale stone coming right out of the ground. And you can see as the sun's coming up, the first rays of the sun hit the mounds. And that was very important because the sun was important to these people. And you can see what they did just to mark where the sun set on the horizon. And the moon and the stars also. I've been out here when the full moon set in the morning behind the tunnel and the serpent wall. And all these large stones lined up. That one, this one, and there's another one down there that you can't see. And then there's the horizon. The east, there's the south down there, and the north up there. There's one long serpent wall, straight as an arrow, north-south, here on the top of the ridge. It marks the west and the east side. And on this side, you don't find living anything, camps, stones that were grinding stones for food. You don't find any of that, but you do find it on the other side of the wall. And there's fields up there that were there for thousands of years that these people grew corn and other things, beans and squash and hay grass even, probably. Who knows what they grew, but that's where you find all the tools of their agriculture. But on this side, on the east side, you find their mounds. And these mounds have red ochre in them. 15 inches below the surface of this mound is a layer of red ochre. And they made it on the property here. There's probably other mounds that I haven't found yet. You can see all the leaf, and this I only found by accident. The animal had dug a hole in the top of it, and my dog was sniffing around in there. And I found some artifacts, and I found the red ochre layer. So right now these mounds are just doing what they've been doing for all this time, and I'd like to see if there's a connecting earthwork between the two. This is all artificial up here where this stone comes out, and the other stone is sitting on an artificial mound, and it's actually perched on smaller stones. That huge stone there, it's all carved out and has petroglyphs on it. The people here were Stone Age people. They probably had some sort of metal, copper maybe, bronze, who knows, but they certainly made large geoform earthworks. They had a culture, a mound culture, where they probably buried people. I can see the difference between the two sides in the artifacts I find. People lived their lives over there, and people came over here, and I guess they did different things because it even feels different over here. The spirits still live here, and I say that because I believe it. They seem to speak to me and tell me that I'm not perceiving things right. You can look at a stone all day long and not see really what's there, the beauty of it. There's artwork in these stones. You can see that these people were, well, busy carving. And some of them, I believe, were so good at it, they created art while they were carving. And these were Stone Age people. They would see things like a person would see a cave painting and things in relief, in shadow and form. And they were very observant with nature. And when they carved images in nature, moving and doing things, not static. And they used the angles on the stones as different surfaces when they carved. This would be one surface, this would be another surface, like two different canvases. And sometimes they would merge, and they'd use the color and the light of the stone and the natural shapes to make things. And that's what they did. And they probably found that this stuff was very valuable up and down the river, because they made tools and they made weapons and they made all kinds of stuff that there must have been a lot of people here to use it all, or they were making it to maybe trade up and down the river. And I haven't moved any of the ground or the earth. This stuff is just what's been coming out of the ground. And I've shown some of it before. Like this stone. You can see it's all pitted. Very cool. Must have made a lot of this that we see here. This white quartz was just quarried right up behind me. And it's all through the mountain here, along with greenstone and serpentine and garnet and gold, and anything you could think of is here in this one spot, which is why I think they really, really liked coming here and living here. For a long time, people were here. Because I find very primitive tools, and I find some very sophisticated art also in some of the other tools that I find. And different time periods, different people came here, but they all were connected by a culture, a serpent culture. And I can see it in almost everything they did. Serpents they carved. Even if they were carving a stone to be a bird stone, they put serpents in it. And that's the serpent head right there with the tunnel. You can see the tunnel of light. And I'll walk towards it because it's a real cool thing. And if you were here thousands of years ago, not hundreds, but thousands, you would have seen this. And when I came here, I had to uncover the wall. It was covered in years of underbrush and thorns and leaves. And I uncovered it. There's artifacts everywhere. They just come out of the ground here. This place was used for so long. And this is the serpent head, and it looks like it's just floating. It looks like it's just floating there. And that's the tunnel right there, shaped like a wolf or a howling wolf, or there's some trees behind it. The serpent head right there, and there's the serpent lair right in there. And these walls are hollow built. They clink when you tap on them. There's always a triangle on top of the serpent head. And there's the tunnel. In certain times of the year, on the horizon, the sun will set and it will lick light up here. And then it'll go away. And it'll come down here. Let me move back. You can see how these are astronomical signs. There's another tunnel right there, shaped like a pyramid, and it has the same effect. The light will lick up that bottom stone for 2 or 3 days when the sun's behind there on the horizon, and it will tell you the time of year, right, by licking up that stone there. There's another one. And on the top of the wall there's stone circles that are still there. I find many stone tools in and around the wall. There's also glyphs in the wall like this. This is a glyph. It's actually a language. And if you were a person back then, you could look at that and read it. See how the stones are placed in certain patterns? Now all those stones are tightly fit, and they sit between 2 pieces of bedrock. See how they sit? And this is actually a smaller glyph. Some sections of wall, like this one, is one large glyph, and it'll tell you things. Okay, and this all tells you something, this part of the serpent wall. It's on the highest part of the ridge. It sits on ledge that has quartz in it. This whole mountain is quartz. I drilled an 860-foot artesian well down through this mountain to get water. And the whole way it was hard ledge and quartz all the way down. And that's what, right here, an ancient astronomical serpent wall looks like. There's the star, there's the sun right there. And there's how it travels across the horizon in those stones. And as it goes through holes in the wall, through tunnels, on certain times of the year, certain places on the horizon. And it tells us things, like what day it is in the year. And I guess it told them when to do things. And there's fields up there that were harvested for thousands of years, and I can tell that because I find the tools there to do it. And there's a lot of water. There's wells down there where the wall starts, and there's a ancient corbelled chamber down there in the field, submerged. And when it dries up, it's a 45-degree angle or a 30-degree angle into the ground, going to the east, into the ground. I've been under the front of it, but I've never seen where it goes because the water line never really dries up. But it's all giant corbelled rocks facing the west, and the chamber goes down towards the east. But it's one of the oldest structure, or the oldest structure here that I could tell, stone structure. And it seems like there's openings in the walls, pathways that go to it. And there's a niche down here where I believe there was a school of some kind, where shamans used to sit and have their teachings, because of the stones I found in the wall there. And it's a special place. And you can see how they were built, these walls, and you can only see part of it. A lot of it's under leaf and underground. This here is a stone circle. This is a natural pathway through the wall. Right there, you can see how worn that stone is from people walking through, and right down there is the chamber. It points you right towards it. And if you come up here, you see this thing. It's granite, and it's carved on all sides. You can see the carve. As you walk through here, it sort of points you in that direction. It has petroglyphs on the front. I want to show you that it's all carved. The whole thing has been carved. It's like a piece of ledge that was taken off of somewhere. Here I'm falling down, but I want to show you the petroglyphs. Hi, Zorro. There's one right there. And one right here. It sort of makes it look like an eye. Eyes. And the first time I noticed it, it sort of made me feel like that was the direction to go. And you can see all the stones carefully placed in there. That thing is huge, and every side's been trimmed. It's been laid there for a reason. I don't know. I call it the shield, or it looks like a face. And this is a walkway through the wall, and it's been used quite a lot. On this side is exactly where the niche is. You can see it's down there that some of these natural protrusions go the opposite direction, east-west, and this one sort of curls around. See this? Into this other side. We have a big tree here, but there's a niche in here. Very nice. See that? And this is where I found many of the artifacts that look like teaching stones or shaman stones. That's the feeling I got from it. And see, there's another piece of bedrock carved like that other one I just showed you right here. And you'll see all these rocks were carved. See them? They carved these things, a lot of them, and used them the way they needed to. And these walls are hollow. There's still chambers down in there I've never looked in. And I've found mammoth stones in here, and other kinds of strange animals. Real ones that are dead for a long time. The wall continues on south on the ridge. There we go. There was an ancient culture here, ancient people, long gone. It seems like they just disappeared. They left everything and just disappeared. And it had to be an ancient catastrophe. Had to be. Many thousands of years ago. And thousands of years before that, these people had a life and a culture and lived here and carved stone. There's that much stone here that's carved. There had to be a lot of people here over a long period of time. And this is ancient Vermont. No one knows about these people. There's a little known about the mound culture here. There was a mound culture in Vermont, but you can't find a whole lot about it. There wasn't a lot of research done. If you're walking up here, you'll see the serpent looking at you. He's just catching the first ray of the sun there through the trees. An ancient culture wiped out thousands of years ago, who carved stone and used the serpent as something that entered their lives every day in the small artifacts they carved and the large stoneworks they made. The serpent was supreme in their mind, and whatever it was, they left it here. There he is, a viper, and there's his lair. And there's the pyramid that looks on the horizon. Thank you folks for watching. This is Jimmy up on the mountain. I think I'm going to call this Magic Mountain, this ancient quarry site. It's 15 acres of magic, insanely, incredibly, beautifully preserved serpent wall with a star stone in it right there that looks on the horizon. Right there. And all the other star stones that follow the horizon. An old ancient calendar right here in Vermont. This is Jimmy up on Magic Mountain. Thank you for watching.